Today's episode, I just want to make sure that you know to follow us on all of our social media at For the Culture Canada and also all of our major streaming platforms at For the Culture Canada Podcast. Now, if you happen to listen to us on the Apple Podcasts app, we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a positive review and rating. That would greatly help out the show a lot. Now, let's get into it. Today, I have somebody that was recommended to me by somebody quite close to me. He's actually quite prolific in our local scene here for actually promoting the African and Caribbean community, giving them a safe place to promote what they do and showcase their talent. He is a center point for the African and Caribbean and Jamaican art scene, culture, music, and fashion. I'm of course talking about Kamso of KayKamz Entertainment. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it a lot, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. So I wanted to, before we get into this sort of what you do, I wanted to sort of get into your history a little bit because I'm honestly like really intrigued. So where do you come from?
I'm actually Nigerian. I come from Nigeria. I moved to Canada in 2008. I actually spent 2 years in Grand Prairie. And then I'm pretty sure some people came to talk about the Ogbonna College. And they talked about how mild the winters were. And I was like, oh, I'm moving there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you find that people's claims on how mild the winter is pretty accurate?
Compared to Grand Prairie, yes, it is.
Really?
Yes. Grand Prairie
Okay.
was pretty ridiculous. My first winter there, it hit -50.
Wow.
Yes.
How'd that feel coming from Nigeria?
It was very shocking. I had never left Nigeria before I came to Canada, so experiencing that firsthand was ridiculous. I called my dad, I called my parents every single time. I was like, this is not livable.
Wow. And why'd you choose Grand Prairie in the first place?
I didn't actually choose Grand Prairie. I had a cousin who moved here with her husband.
Yeah.
And they called my dad and said like the education system kind of was really good and he should see if he could bring any of his kids here. So it was just the first place to land where there was someone to like look after us for like a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. You were doing that and you eventually went to UBCO, and my friend Mark was basically telling me you first started doing sort of like the beginning stages of KayKamz Entertainment over there, right? Is that true?
Not necessarily. So I just hung out like with the African community there, and like we just had mini house parties, helps the African Caribbean student club there. So just like mini events.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I just thought to myself, like, everyone had fun when they came to my events. And the reason I did it was because being an international student, you just realize that when you're here, there is really not a lot you can do for fun. Because Kelowna is kind of like a small community, right? So you show up, there's not a lot you can do. And when you decide to go, like after like the whole week is done of school and all that stress, like the weekend comes through, it's like you need something to take you back home. So we had like mini potlucks and then we played music. And then I just thought to myself, being in that space, knowing that I need a place to like get away, to take me back home, if it's for 5 minutes, it's for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, just a place where I can just like relax and like just forget all the worries of not being back home.
Yeah.
And that's how KayKamz came about.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's very cool. When it comes to KayKamz, you wanted to provide also a safe space for everybody. So what did you mean by a safe space?
So the reason I use that word safe space because at the time I decided to start KayKamz, a lot of things were happening in the United States, and also being in Canada, I've had like a few altercations with people just for just uncalled for reasons. Like people just call you names, people come at you differently.
Right.
So the reason I started KayKamz was because people see you and they ask you where you're from, and they already have like a general idea without asking you about the place.
Right.
Or genuinely getting to know you or your culture. Right. So you just, for example, like you're Indian and automatically that it's like, oh, it's curry. You're Nigerian. Just like, oh, you're a scam artist, but that's not the truth. But the only language we can speak is love, dance, and people appreciate fashion. So the safe space is where you come, and it's like, because if you see a black guy, if I generally see a black guy in Kelowna, I nod my head. I don't necessarily need to say hi. I just nod my head and walk past. So creating a safe space is a place where you come, you're not being judged for who you are.
Yeah.
You're being accepted for who you are. You're coming to portray your culture, where it's like, if you come and dance, oh, that's an interesting dance. I want to learn that dance. You watch me dance, like, oh, you can dance. You come dressed the way you are. It's like, oh, I love that outfit. You get to talk. So just a safe space where people appreciate each other. A place where you come and like, you're sure you're gonna have fun. There are not gonna be fights. No one's going to judge you for who you are. No one's going to just like, it's just a place where you're welcome, where you're loved, where you come to all you just see is love and just appreciate everyone's culture in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And culture is very important to you.
Yes, it
clearly.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. And was that embedded into you when you were very, very young, or is that something that you grew to appreciate as you grew older?
I actually grew to appreciate it, to be honest, because I never left Nigeria until I came to Canada. So when you come, then you realize that you are unique in a sense, right? Because you come and then everyone has a story to tell, and then you begin to see everyone like what makes them unique in a sense, right? So just coming and realizing that, because then you can beat your chest and like you go for a job interview, like, so what do you have to offer? It's like, I can bring this whole wealth of knowledge from a different point of view. So like, I've been in a country where I can communicate to someone else and bring that business over to you, right? So I am the only person right now who can offer you that skill, and nobody else can offer you that. So it's just knowing I can speak a different language than you can. It's like I can probably understand things quicker than you can because I'm in your country. So I'm trying to figure things out a million different ways, trying to make it okay for you. So that gives me like a better advantage. So having that, so just appreciating that culture, just knowing that I bring something different to the table as opposed to like just being the regular person, because it gives you an advantage. Because I did go to school, fortunately, but if I didn't, it also gives that extra advantage. Like, okay, what do you have to offer besides going to school? It's like, yo, it's the culture, it's the way I think, it's the way I do things, right? So
yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah. And I find that I wish personally, in my experience, just growing up here in Canada, that I wish that I had more of I wish that I was a little more appreciative of my culture that I came from. It's something that I have been a part of since I was obviously born. Yeah. But I find that the community here in Kelowna is kind of a little more, if you're a little more whitewashed, there's a few more walls in between you and the remainder of your culture.
Yes.
But in what I'm seeing in what you do, there's a lot more of like a togetherness. Yes. And there's no real sort of like worry about, oh, you've been here in Canada longer, so you're a little more whitewashed, or oh, you're directly from your home country, so there's a wall there, that seems really unique about what you do with what you host.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is very cool.
Yeah, so the reason behind it is just to bring everyone to a safe space. You just realize, because, for example, it's almost like a networking place. Like, you show up, it's like, oh, I've had people who have come out from first. I didn't realize, like, there were many Ghanaians here. I didn't realize there were many Nigerians here. Yeah. I didn't realize that it was like, and you just come and meet more people. It's just a safe space. And then you come, and if, for example, like, you've never been back home, right? And then you come, it's like you meet someone who's been back home, and then they tell you, and you see how they dance, you learn the new dance, the new fashion, you're just like, wow. And then you just grow in love with it again, right? So like, for example, usually after the new year, I have like an event, and you have people who have gone back home for Christmas and then come back, and they come back with new fashion, new dance moves. So when you come like, oh my God, like, I'm missing this. I really want to go back home. And then someone comes to tell a story. It's like, yo, I was just back home. This happens. Like, oh, I really want to go back home. You fall in love with culture all over and all over and all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And that probably makes you want to go back like the next following day.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's awesome. That's great. And so through all the networking that you have done, then you bumped into people like, say, Tion Gibbs.
Yes.
Yeah, who I just did a podcast with. What was it like meeting him the first time? Do you remember?
The first time I met Tion Gibbs, I actually met him at the gym.
Okay.
Right. So he came like we just like I went to gym. I'm still like, you see, and then you see someone every other time. All of a sudden, he's like, yo, I see you here. I guess, like, hi, how are you? And then he said he was from Botswana. So automatically you get that connection. It's like, oh, you're African. And then we started talking. And then he told me like he was into music, and that was a while. So like we never really hung out on a personal level. And then I just considered the idea of starting KayKamz. And then I spoke to him. I was like, yo, you do music. I'm about to have my very first event. How about you come perform? Right? Because that was my whole idea, to create a platform. So it's like, I have a friend here who told me he does music and nobody really knows. I'm about to have an event where there's going to be like free audience and he doesn't have to sell. So how about you come perform and Tion Gibbs came perform, and then from there we just grew stronger.
Okay, very
Yes.
cool. And how long ago was that?
This was in 2016.
Okay, it's been a
Yes.
couple of years now.
Yes.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And approximately the most recent event that you had was actually in July, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Buy the Block Back.
Buy back the block.
Buy back the block. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Cool. And what was there a particular concept around that name, or was it just sort of?
So for my events, unless it's just the basic black and white party, there's always a hidden meaning behind
Right.
the names of my events. So the Buy Black the Block is he's homegrown.
Okay.
Right, so by homegrown I mean like he's from Kelowna.
Yeah.
And then he went out to Vancouver to try and conquer a bigger city, and then since he moved to Vancouver, he's become so much better, right? So he was coming back to claim back what was his.
Yeah.
So the whole concept behind it was like we're buying back the block because he's back home, to show everyone's like, yo, I left and I'm better,
Yeah.
right? So he's coming back to Bab is like, yo, I'm back home, so I'm just coming to take what's mine. Like Kelowna loves me, like it's my home, so I'm back.
Yeah. How was it?
It was beautiful. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's always nice working with him. It was like this was the fourth time we've done an event together.
Right. Were you involved with the Black Box Theater event as well?
I wasn't involved, but I was there.
Yeah, I know
Yes,
you were there.
yeah,
I saw the
yeah,
video.
yes, yeah.
Honestly, that video is like pretty iconic so far in Tion's career right now, I think. Yeah.
Yes. No, that video was nice. It was just nice to see the energy in the room. Everyone's just there to support him. Like he's grown. He's grown as a person. He's grown as a friend. He's grown as a brother.
Yeah.
Like he's grown as someone who inspires me. Like he gets better every single time. And being there that night just saw how much better he's gotten. How he engaged the crowd. How he's gotten good at his crafts, and he's just getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to explore music at all, or have you explored music in creating your own?
No, I can't sing to save my life.
What about rapping?
No, I can't rap.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All
But
right.
I do have a fair business idea of how everything works, though.
I see. Okay, so do you care to like dive into that a little bit then?
So for example, like I guess I know how to like make people present themselves better. Like so
Right.
I like arts and performance. So if you're performing, I can tell if you're into it or if you're faking it. So I can like make you better. I can tell you how to like I can help you like set up events and like make you marketable and all that stuff.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So just consultant, being a consultant then.
Yes, more like a consultant type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And you actually do that, right? Like not necessarily on like an art or music scene, but you do that for your work, right?
No, I'm currently an accountant.
Oh, you are an
Yes,
accountant.
yes.
Okay. Okay. I must have misread something online then, or just misunderstood what it
I
meant.
did work in a consulting company at one point.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Very
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Very cool. Awesome. And I wanted to sort of like segue a little bit back into the whole culture scene a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely,
When was the last time that you went back home?
Actually, last December.
Last December. Okay.
Yes.
How long did you go for?
I was there for a month.
Yeah. Very cool. Do you often go back?
But I try to. I try. So I've been home 2 years in a row. I probably won't go back this year, but I'll go the year after.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. Did you ever thought about making like KayKamz Entertainment sort of like the main sort of career that you focus on, or did you always have that sort of just like as a side thing for yourself?
I've always wanted to do something that made me happy, because if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? So KayKamz, I've always had like big dreams, but I never found the right opportunity up until 2 years ago, and I'm working tirelessly to be, because when I do it, I'm happiest, right? So because you just see people in the room, and there's just certain moments where people show up, and you can just see the happiness and the relief in your faces, like you're just glad it came out, and those are moments like that I cherish.
Yeah.
So I'm working to make it like my main priority, but like I said, right now I just do events once a month, so it's a little hard.
Yeah, I bet because there's just only so much you can plan.
Yes.
Yeah. And especially since, like, I'm not sure what the community is like right now, but I know I have noticed, just sort of on an outsider perspective, that the African Caribbean community has seemed to have blossomed a lot more over the last couple of years.
Yes.
You might have noticed that too.
Yes, I have, yes.
So do you find that there's a lot of young artists that are sort of like making their way up right now?
Yes, in Kelowna, yes, there are a lot of young artists that are scared to put their work out or have no avenue to put their work out. So there are a lot growing, and that's partially why I started KayKamz, to give you that platform to perform, as opposed to, like, you don't necessarily need to sell yourself. You just need to come surprise the people, like, oh, there's actually someone who's this good in the community.
Yeah.
Maybe I should give it, like, follow them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so sick.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I started this whole, like, podcast in the first place, is so that I can feature people that are rising up, people that are doing really great things, so that way we can provide a little bit more awareness on that type of stuff. And obviously you do that too yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is totally great. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think Kelowna's culture scene, just sort of on like a whole level, when you look at Kelowna culture, there's not really a singular sort of identity for it. There is, but it's not really artsy, you know?
Yes.
The art scenes I find in Kelowna are very sort of scattered and just sort of separate from each other.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm trying to, like, bring them all together a little bit more.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's also what I'm trying to do. Just create a space where, because I believe since I moved to Canada, I've met, like, a lot of people from all over the world, and I feel like by meeting everyone and getting to know them, you get to travel the world a little bit without actually leaving. So the passive concept behind is you come to a place and get to, like, maybe figure out a place you would like to go based on what you've seen in 2 hours, 3 hours, 30 minutes, right? Because you could just come and see, like, how people dance. Like, you know what, maybe I want to go to India, maybe I want to go to Costa Rica. Like, you just meet people and just talk about their culture, just experience the culture, and be like, you know what, maybe that might not be a bad place to go visit.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Right. Have you traveled very much to other places?
No, I haven't.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Got any plans that?
Yes, I do. Like, I've been to a few. Well, I've been to States. I've been to Mexico and Nigeria. I have, like, a few places on my bucket list. So I'm trying to do Kenya, Brazil. Cool. I don't really want to go to European countries because it's almost too touristy. But
I get you.
Yeah.
What about India?
India is on my list.
Yeah.
I've had a few friends who have, like, told me, like, that they'll go, so I'm just waiting for the right time to go, because I'm trying to work with their schedule. So they just told me, like, when they'll go, like, they have everything covered. They'll let me know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
India's an amazing experience. At least for me, I found it to be a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should go there at least once.
Yes.
And I want to go to Africa because it just seems so different from what is here, at least as far as my understanding of it is. I want to check out Johannesburg.
You should.
You know, I want to check out also Egypt.
Yes.
And everything about it is just so appealing. But I feel like I would need like 50 lifetimes to check out the entirety of it, you know?
I don't know about 50 lifetimes, but if you plan and save up enough, you should be able to do it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, like, I want to, like, just check out, like, every state and everything.
Oh, yes, you want 50 lifetimes for that.
Yeah, definitely. I do know that there are some spots that I probably shouldn't go to right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's like everywhere else, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, for sure. And in terms of, like, future plans, where do you see KayKamz Entertainment going right now?
Yeah, so from a personal point of view, I want to eventually, the goal, hopefully, will be to go to every small city. I know people think it's weird because why won't you go to a major city? It's to go to every small city and help every international community and bring them together in a classy way. Just something you look forward to. Just like, oh, this is coming here. So because I came from Grand Prairie, so there's a backstory to this. Like, you come from Grand Prairie, like a small community where there's not a lot of culture, and then we all party together. And then come to Kelowna. Kelowna is like, it's bigger than Grand Prairie, but the cultural scene isn't still as big. So, right, so you have all these people who come from, like, big cities from all over the world into this small community, and then they're just starved, and all of a sudden it's like, I have nothing to do, right? And then you just give them that platform to just come and celebrate their culture for 4 hours. So I just want to go to every minor city there is in Canada and, like, just give them that opportunity to just have fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a major thing to embark on.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a long journey.
Yeah, that'd be wild. I'd love to see you do that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a little bit, do you think that'd be something like a 2019, 2020 plan? Maybe a little further ahead?
I don't know. Well, so I have like a few cities I like to conquer first. Like, so I have Saskatchewan is on my list, Kamloops is on my list. I want to do an event in Vancouver simply because Vancouver, and the only reason I'm going after Vancouver is because Vancouver is a bigger city, but there are a lot of cultures, but like the African Caribbean culture is non-existent, kind of, right? There is no community you can just go call on and be like, oh, I need to do this. Like, how do we work on it, right? So we have all those people there, but they're all dispersed. We need something to bring them all out together for that reason.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, when it comes to music, a lot of it is just sort of based in Toronto right now. Like, that's what Kelowna is known for, Torontonian music.
Yes.
So I think having BC represented a lot better, I think would be cool. So if you were to make your way into Vancouver and celebrate us that way, I would love to see it. I'd love to see, you know, West Coast Canada also be put onto the map.
Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That'd be awesome, man. And do you have any sort of like, that's macro scale, obviously, macro scale, but do you have any micro scale sort of upcoming plans or dates or anything?
Well, right now I'm just looking. So on a micro scale, I just want to like have my first events outside of Kelowna and do. So basically, my first target right now is Kamloops because there's a huge African community there and Caribbean community. So it's just go and then give them that feel. I know a few artists there who need an opportunity to perform. So that's like my immediate project right now.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's cool. Any sort of like time frame that you got your eyes set on that? Like any sort of like time limit that you want to do it under?
So I was shooting for September, but a few things got pushed back. So I'm hoping for either January or February of next year.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And any sort of plans in Kelowna?
In Kelowna, I have a few. I have events coming up in September, October, November. Yeah,
very cool. Okay, awesome. Are those publicly announced yet?
No, not yet. I'm just working on
the details.
Well, I do have the details. I'm just waiting for my designer to get back to me on the posters, and then I'll announce them.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, that's awesome, man. Great. Is there anything else that you wanted to add into this at all?
I just want to say thank everybody so much for the love and support, because I started this 2 years ago, and frankly, after every event, a part of me just wants to quit because it's like, this is an amazing event. How do I top this? Or how do I reach out to more people? How do I convince people that this is for a good cause? That's just not another night out in Kelowna. It's just a place to come, escape, experience culture in ways you've never seen, because the media lies to us. The media, everyone's trying to sell you news, right? So the media tells you what they want to tell you. Like, we are not all bad people. Like, the only language we can speak is love, regardless of what mother tongue you come from. Like, the only language we can speak is love. And if there's any other language you understand, is dance. And if there's anything we appreciate, is fashion and culture. So what I'm just trying to do is just create a space where you just come, even if you don't like to dance, just come, appreciate someone's culture, appreciate someone's fashion. Like, you just come, just learn to love and be in a safe space. Just know that we are all one. Like, we can all dance. We can all learn new dances. We can all learn new languages. I personally know how to say hello in 3 or 4 different languages. Not because, like, I mean, it's only hello, but it goes a long way. It makes someone at ease. It opens up conversations when you just tell someone, konnichiwa. It's like, hi, hola, ¿cómo estás? Like, simple things like that. And then you just put a smile on someone's face. So something as simple as that, you could learn in 4 hours. So I'm just really grateful to everybody, and I hope everyone continues to root for me. That's all.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Honestly, Kamso, I'm just going to say I genuinely really love the message that you're trying to bring. I genuinely think that it's such a wonderful thing for especially an immigrant to come here and try to do that, because, you know, my parents were immigrants. I know what the struggle is like for them to build something for their family, and you're doing this for yourself and potentially your family in the future, right? And so I totally understand the struggle, man. And and I think it's such a commendable thing for you to do. I love it, man. I really appreciate you doing that, just on a general.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being here on this podcast to talk about it.
No, thank you for what you're doing, because it's huge. We've always looked for an avenue to like put the word out and let people know that we're working.
Yeah.
Yes. So I appreciate this.
It's, of course, obviously it's for the culture of this place. We want to have more art and culture put in the forefront of what makes up Kelowna, right? So I feel like connecting everybody here to this one singular place is going to do that.
Yes.
So I want this to be a lot bigger than what is just me.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want KayKamz Entertainment much bigger than what is just you.
Yes.
So I think we can do that. I think it's a possibility. It's just, as long as we sort of work together, we'll be good.
Yes, absolutely. And newsflash, since you said for the culture, I do have an event coming up in October, and it's named For the Culture.
Hey.
Yeah. So you better be there.
I will be there. Yeah. That's amazing. That's so sick.
Yeah.
Great. Lastly, did you have any questions for me at all?
Why did you start? Like, when did you conceive the idea of starting this?
The thing has always been in the background of my mind for the last year or so.
Yeah.
Now, I was working on an album for myself, so I didn't have the time to put it towards something like this. Now, my album is done being mixed. I'm just literally piecing together the music video now, and that allowed me to have much more time. And I just felt like with the concept and message of what my album is about to be, it aligns very much with what this is. And I just felt like it was a really appropriate time to bring it out, especially since it's right when the summer started is when I started doing this. And I just felt like it was appropriate because everybody's having their events happen, everybody's having their stuff announced, and I wanted to do this because I genuinely felt like I really love art and culture. I look it up all the time. Music has completely consumed my life since I was like 3 years old or so. And so, but I just felt like I wasn't really connected enough into the culture that's around me, locally. And so therefore I wanted to get to know people better, like you, like Tion, like whoever, and just sort of understand what's actually happening around me and maybe help contribute to it in some sort of way, because I think what you guys are doing great and I want to be a part of that as well. And I just want to have Kelowna be proud of what we have. I don't want anybody to sort of be like, Kelowna's scene is really like, in some sort of way. I'd want them to be proud of what we do. So that's why I'm taking this so seriously. I want to just like really make this a strong effort to make sure that people can say at least I tried.
No, that's really good. And going into the chat, so what's been the biggest challenge so far?
Biggest challenge, probably myself. You probably find this, like, I just feel like sometimes I should just give up because I don't feel like anybody's gonna really care. Or I just find that like I'm not good enough. Like, let's say today, for example, I did 2 interviews in one day once before, and it was immediately back to back, and I was just so drained. I felt like I did a terrible job in the second interview. And I said to myself, I'm never going to do that again. But today I did that again. Tion I actually interviewed this morning because that's the only time slot that we had, and your interview was already scheduled before Tion and I did it, but because of the time crunch, I had to do it. And because there was such a gap in time, I thought I'd be able to handle it. And personally, I thought in this episode, I wasn't able to keep myself sharp the entire time. I stumbled on my words a little bit earlier and stuff, but honestly, you just sort of like work on it and keep on growing from those things. So it's myself that I find is the biggest challenge, but there are other people doing podcasts like this, and those I initially thought were something that I should maybe, let's say, something that might be a challenge to myself, but I actually found it to be a really welcoming thing. It allowed me to actually grow more as an individual and as a podcast host, actually. And I really I appreciate all the challenges that come with it, because challenges are what make you grow as an individual. So mostly myself.
I agree.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it a lot, man. It was a great, very, very amazing experience.
No, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
For sure, absolutely. That was Kamso of KayKamz Entertainment. Thank you so much for being a part of this whole thing, all you listeners out there. Remember to follow us on Spotify. Remember to follow us on all the other major streaming platforms and SoundCloud and Instagram and everything. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.